Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the King and welcome back to the channel. Yesterday, the PTB was released and we managed to test out a lot of brand new things. One of the major things that were in the game was now changes to the perk Hex Ruin, which, according to Dead by Daylight, 80% of people use. So obviously there was a lot of focus on the new Ruin, how it worked, and things like that. After playing with it for a little while, I think I can thoroughly give my opinion on the perk and how we can improve it moving forward after the PTB. So we're gonna jump on into that in this video. So I utilize this in every single one of my games yesterday, and I'm gonna be straight with you guys. It did absolutely nothing whatsoever. The perk did not work efficiently whatsoever by itself. And I know a lot of other content creators are saying, you know, they like Hex Ruin or they think it can work, but there's a lot of implications and things that just make the perk not as good as it used to be. Now, for those of you guys that are unaware of the Hex Ruin changes, essentially what Hex Ruin used to do once the totem is up, if you get skill checks, they'll be red and you have to get a great skill check in order to progress your generator. If not, it will spark and stop progressing for a few seconds. Great skill checks will not add on to that time. Now, as soon as you step away from a generator, it will start regressing at double the speed on if you were to kick it. So essentially, if the survivor moves off of the generator, that's the only way Hex Ruin will be activated. This works better late game as survivors are forced to go heal or unhook people or do other things, and the generator times or all the progress that they have in the gens will be negated. That is how it's intended to work. But sadly, as I said, there's a lot of implications with that. Now, the reason Dead by Daylight did this was that they said that 80% of players use this and it's a little bit more taxing on the newer players, which is completely understandable. Hitting those Ruin skill checks if you're a newer player is very difficult. We sometimes forget about the newer and the more casual players, so it's good that they're looking out for them. Dead by Daylight is trying to achieve a day and age where you won't see the same 4 perks across the board, but rather you'll see different perks and different builds helping you throughout your game. So instead of Ruin, you'll see maybe Corrupt, you'll see Pop, you'll see other things that can help you with those generator times, and it's understandable as well. Now, the sole focus on today's video is about Hex Ruin and how we can make it better. So here are the issues with what I've encountered with the new Hex Ruin. Number 1, the way that they intended it to work was that this is going to be something that helps you more late game. And as I mentioned in my Hex Ruin video prior to this, the issue with that is Ruin doesn't last till end game, you know? And I played yesterday, and once 1 or 2 gens are done, Ruin is gone. I can't spend a lot of my time protecting my totem because then I won't be efficiently doing my job in other places. So what ends up happening is that the totem gets cleansed and nothing happened. I then went ahead and played a lot of Survivor to see if it hindered me in any way. Not at all. You get the first or second gen out the way, no issue, because you're working with a teammate or you're working by yourself and the killer doesn't have enough pressure to apply to you, so you're halfway across the map, you pop the gens, and by the time you do realize there's a Ruin, you can just take it out. The second issue that I have with Hex Ruin is that it doesn't have that much of a penalty, meaning that even if the perk does work, and let's say a generator is regressing, the amount of time that it will take for that generator to regress a substantial amount is inadequate. It takes just way too long to do that. And there's easy fixes to this, and now we're gonna jump on into some of the fixes that I think would make the perk really, really good or just a little bit balanced. First of all, there's some alternate solutions. We'll talk about the first one. Don't make it a Hex perk. That's it. If you make it just a regular common perk, more people will run it. A lot of people have been running this perk with Whirling Tremors, Surveillance, things like that. My issue with that is that you're gonna have to run 2 perks basically to equate to the 1 Hex Ruin that we used to have. Now that's just a little tough because those perk slots are normally designated to other good perks. Now you're gonna have to supplement it with another perk just for it to, on the off chance, work if your totem isn't broken. And if your totem does get broken, that second perk that you're running, let's say Surveillance, does nothing for you. So if they remove it as a Hex perk, it could be good. In addition to this, I also heard someone saying if you want to go with this whole regressing thing, make it so that the doors regress. As you know, everybody 99% doors. It's a cool little idea. You can make the doors regress if you like. You can also go upon the idea that Hex Ruin will be less taxing on the earlier generator, so you can have the 200%, and later game it goes to like 500%, hypothetically, of course. That way, if you really want it to have a good benefit later on, it will slowly and gradually get better. Kind of like fire up after every generator is popped, it increases by, let's say, 100%. I don't know, that's just me throwing ideas out there. That would be pretty nice. Now, if you do want to keep it as a hex totem, as most hex totems are, high risk, high reward. We need a higher reward for that. Maybe every time someone steps off the generator, it automatically regresses 5%, and then it continues to go down. There's also been the idea, this is a really crazy idea. If your hex totem is cleansed, right, for a hex ruin, after about 30 seconds to a minute, depending on what tier your perk level is, the totem will respawn on an active totem location. Now, I think this is a really good idea, and I'm going to tell you why. Not only will this make this perk viable for the entirety of the game, because now instead of it getting cleansed right off the bat and that perk not being applied the entirety of the game, which was a problem that we had with Ruin, after 1 minute or 30 seconds, if there is an active totem, it'll respawn. It also puts pressure on the survivors to do another objective, cleanse the totems. That way, what ends up happening is that you, in theory, have secondary objectives, and it slows down the game more, which would be great for Ruin because that's its main job of slowing down the game. I think that would be great. I think that would be really good. If it regresses your generators, it has that 5% effect if you step off of it. It goes more over time. It also works with the gate, and it goes to another active totem. That's just a big bundle, all put together on what can equate to a really good perk still. It won't be as annoying as the old Hex Ruin. It definitely won't be as meta because still regressing generators are very difficult to do without combining it with other perks. Now, obviously, if we do this idea, we're going to need to balance some other things. We would have to make it so that it doesn't have some weird synergy with other perks such as Thrilling Tremors or things like that, because if the generators get grabbed and you're at, let's say, 500% regression, that's going to last a whole 16 seconds. Not much you can do about it, so they will need to tweak that a little bit to make it more fair on the survivors' hands. That's just an idea that I had. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But all in all, I think Hex Ruin still needs a little bit of tweakings, and that's why we have the PTB. I'm going to close this video out by saying one thing, and I think a lot of people need to hear this. The entire reason that we have these public test builds is so that we can express how we feel and our ideas about things in a constructive way to the developers. And if you're just on Reddit or Twitter or YouTube, wherever the place is, just sending hate or bashing on the devs or even your own community members, you're going about it all wrong. You're adding nothing to the conversation, and if anything, whatever you're saying is just not even going to be looked at. Let's say you were trying to make a point and you start off by saying the devs are an idiot, and then you go on like with a 5-page summary of how to make the perk better. No one's gonna read it. Do not send hate to the devs. Do not send hate to your fellow community members. There's literally no benefit in doing that. You have to remember, at the end of the day, these are still people that are passionately working on their game, trying to make it better and better. And we sometimes forget that because we get so involved with the game itself. Remember, at the end of the day, this is their game and they can do what they want with it. This is their passion and what they created, and they always want to please everybody. Think about how hard it is right now sitting in that seat, changing a perk like Hex Ruin, which 80% of killer mains use, and then about 50% of those people just being toxic to you and saying terrible things to you. How would you feel? Wouldn't it be good? So as I said, play more into PTB, give them the information that they need, fill out the survey, talk about how you feel about the perk in a constructive way, and hopefully after this PTB, we'll get some changes to Hex Ruin, and it'll be quite nice. Nonetheless, I'm the King. I tip my crown to you guys. As I said, we'll be live streaming on Twitch. We can talk a little bit more there. I am a little bit late, so I'm going to rush edit this video and post it. We'll see you guys in the fog. Take care, everybody, and have a good rest of your day.